People probably don't want to know.
Sure,
Like,
alright.
oh,
We're good to go again.
all right. Yeah, the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. The reason why it's called Skinwalker Ranch is the best way to put it. It's a little ranch built out in the middle of nowhere, okay?
Yeah.
This has been the biggest spot, they say, that has the most paranormal activity of the Skinwalker. There's stories, there's been screams caught on tape multiple times. I think, matter of fact, going through some of the stuff, I think there's like three. One
Holy
dude
fuck.
goes out. Yeah, he records it, and I think he went out three separate times and caught the scream every time. Uh, but yeah, there's an entire ranch, and I believe it's been closed off for access. You can still sneak into it. I don't really
Yeah.
recommend it unless
Sneak
you
into
know
that
what
and
you're doing when
find
it
out
comes
find
to a
one of those things.
skinwalker. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah. It's called Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, and it's been closed down now. But an entire ranch, just a good, I want to say, couple hundred, maybe 1,000 acres, closed off to human access because of
Jesus Christ.
skinwalker paranormal activity. Many reports are the skinwalkers crawling across the road or walking across the road if people start driving in that direction at nighttime. Many people have reported some of them try to follow your vehicle.
Holy God, that's all you need is one to follow you back to the city. But how I can picture it as if the skinwalker, you know how in those horror movies and they move unnaturally, like super quick, and it makes you have like tingles in your spine?
Hmm.
I can picture a Wendigo crawling around like that. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
That
like the
that would
best way to put
scare
it,
me.
like, oh. Now, I mean, I've heard of these encounters, although I've not actually seen anything to fully back it up. But I wouldn't doubt it. But many people have said those who live close to Skinwalker Ranch have reported their own home systems, like their surveillance and all the cameras they have inside the house, outside the house. The
Holy
ones
God.
outside the house, the ones outside the house never actually pick anything up. You don't, they said they've watched over tapes and they don't see how it entered their home, but they've reported there was one in their living room. Other people have said there's been one standing outside their kid's bedroom in the hallway.
Oh God,
Um,
man. No.
many people have said that they've put up deer, the deer cameras for
Like trail
watching
cams, yeah.
animals. Thank you. I can't believe that word spaced my mind.
You know what? That's another name for it, though. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Oh, well, the biggest part about it is many people have reported their dog goes in the backyard, sees something, and instead of listening, the dog takes off full sprint into the woods. Dog
Yeah,
goes
I've
missing
heard stuff
forever.
like that.
Then they find on the camera their dog being eaten or killed by a skinwalker or a wendigo,
Which is just
one or the
horrible.
other. Oh yeah,
But no,
it's
I
just
wanna cover Wendigos tonight. I also wanna cover the Goat Man of all things, man, and maybe the Rake. I mean, I don't know too much about the Rakers. It would be a cool thing to maybe talk about later on if you want.
oh hell yeah, the rake. I'm gonna be honest, say I don't know if I've heard of the rake. That's
Can't say I have either. I mean, there was a game called The Rake that Markiplier played, and Wade, which is Lord Minion 777. Give them a check if you ever want to see what the game's about. But I guess The
oh yeah,
Rake,
Wade. Yeah,
yeah. I
it's
guess,
it's funny because that's my name. That's
man, that's awesome. But no, apparently this Rake is apparently this pale white creature, which is supposed to be like, I don't know, like a type of child that like a, not to sound rude, but like an albino child that like outgrew its stage of being a child, but like didn't fully develop its brain, I guess.
right.
And I don't know, that's something I've read. I'm not entirely sure, unless somebody just made it up on Reddit. But I have seen pictures of it on Facebook and stuff.
Well, I mean, many people have. Okay, so what I'm looking at, people have reported sightings of a rake, and yeah, so very similar to what I was telling you about in Kentucky. Devil Boy
Yeah.
looks like a kid who's very malnutrition, very albino-like, and no skin pigmentation, just pale white, eyes glowing like crazy. Um, the only difference between that is I think a rake might be the hostile form because again, Devil Boy in Kentucky, that one, it's never actually been reported harming anyone, but anyone who's been close gets that eerie feeling, and anyone who's seen him has always ran away. He
Yeah.
does follow. He has no reports of actually harming or assaulting anyone. Nobody's gone missing when dealing with him. Everyone's been able to come back and tell the tale. But I'm wondering if Devil Boy isn't a lone rake, if that makes sense. A rake who's
Uh,
out on his own.
it could be because I feel like if rakes grow up with the other rakes, right? They learn social skills, and when they learn those social
Right,
skills, they become violent towards other people who don't look like them. So what
right.
if that's a thing?
And exactly, and that's what I'm saying. And so the what they call Devil Boy is not really what
That
they're
it's a
thinking.
rake, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a rake,
Ooh,
but it
fuck.
doesn't fully have the knowledge on what he is, let alone what we are. It knows it lives alone and in the wild, but he's not going to be messing with us.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
big
here you
was
go, the
it?
rake.
Yeah.
Oh, he's if it's kind of best way to put it. He's hunched up in a ball, like he's ready to jump and pounce, or like a monkey would crawl
Like
around and
like a
stuff.
scared
But if
cat.
it, yeah, if he could stand up, I want to say maybe 4 foot.
Jeez, that's not too big.
No, it's not too big, but it's bigger than what you would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rake. Yeah, the rake is a creature believed to be a humanoid in appearance, with several references in folklore and horrific urban legends. Originally appearing on the internet on creepypasta, the creature reportedly attacks humans due to unknown reasons and often causes its victims psychological trauma. Several theories of the first development of the rake point towards the internet threads and online discussion. However, due to alcoholism, illusions, to a creature known as the rake can be found well before these sources. So long before there are reports and folklore of rakes coming out, long before they appeared on the internet, the folklore of the rake originates from the 1600s.
Jesus, that far back.
That far back.
Oh
It
my
comes from
god.
this 1600s. The story of the rake is from the 1600s, but to this day we have, well, best way to put it, all these internet things going on and this and that, is how the internet ruins most stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rake, long before internet or anything, dude, they had stories and comments and other things about people that they're pale white in appearance, look like they're dead in a way because they just look like flesh and bone.
Jesus. But the thing is
And
that kind of brings it back to the Wendigo as well. Like, could they turn into a Wendigo, you suppose, after so many years? Like evolve or something like that. Even though I
well,
know
that's
that's
the thing.
probably not possible.
Well, I was gonna say they should actually be very separate because the Wendigo is again its own entity. The Wendigo, and if I'm not mistaken, the Wendigo might be a originally. Again, they were here before the natives. I think they might have been a creature at one point in time that
That the
lived
natives
on
could
these
have feared,
lands.
yeah.
Yeah, they lived on these lands in their own little groups, living off the wild
Yeah.
and in caves and other things like that. And as, people came to be, uh, we do what we normally do, just how just like when we build a housing development and we push out animals. These tribes came through and use slash and burn and many other things to create their lands and build their tribes,
But
and in the
yeah.
process of doing so could have interfered and messed with the Wendigos' land,
Yeah, but the thing is,
pushing the
they
Wendigo
couldn't
out.
have known until it was too late, too, right? Like, say, like, they're just building in an area, and they accidentally stumble upon it, and they didn't realize it till it was too late, and they awokened it, and its pieces, like, its piece has been gone for years because of how much city development has gone on, and their caves are disappearing with the mountains when we destroy them and stuff. And that's probably why there's
Yeah.
more and more sightings now than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep. And well, that's the thing is most of the Wendigo stories came from the natives and all those folklores. Meaning, again, like how we push natives out, how the
yeah.
natives and all that probably pushed the Wendigo out. But like you were saying, Wendigos, they live in caves. They probably didn't know till it was too late because the Wendigo is only active very late hours of the night, usually when the tribe was sleeping.
Yeah. And then once they found the tribesmen that were probably guarding against other tribes, that's probably when
Hmm.
they would attack, and that's probably how they figured it out.
Yeah.
Now, the worst
The
part about
legend
it
lends
all...
its
Oh, you go, you go.
Yeah, the legend lends its name to the controversial modern medical term Wendigo psychosis, described by psychiatrists and culture-bound syndrome with symptoms such as intense craving of human flesh and fear of becoming a cannibal. In some indigenous communities, environmental destruction and insatiable greed are also known as a manifestation of Wendigo psychosis. In other words, you, sir, and I could very much so become Wendigo.
Yeah, but... What? Okay. Holy crap. No.
So the Wendigo could have been actual tribespeople who were at one point in time cannibals, and over the time of the flesh and everything, their mutations and other shit.
Jesus. Like,
And
the
in the
demon
process of
spirits of those
breeding,
dead ones could have got them, and is what you're kind of saying, right? Like whenever a Wendigo
so
dies after, I think it's like 1,000 years they can live, their spirit goes and then they take over a person. Isn't...
yep,
Yeah.
that can work, and that can cause the drastic, rapid change in a human to turn into a Wendigo. Now, it says here also when a female becomes Wendigo or driven crazy by her cannibalistic needs, when she becomes Wendigo and she runs off, other Wendigo would mate with her, and that's how we got the grotesque creature that we have. When multiple Wendigos eventually started to breed, we got this horrible looking creature, and it looks supernatural. It's many people call it a malevolent being that literally it just comes out of nowhere, and the only thing it wants is your flesh.
Oh, Jesus. Maybe that's where they got the idea for zombies too from.
Oh, see, that could very much so be it, because it's been said that most Wendigo are also, they look very gaunt to the point of emaciation.
Yeah.
It's got desiccated skin, and it's so tight over its bones that the bones look like they're about to burst out of the skin of the creature. The creature looks like its lips are beaten in, they're bloody and everything. It just looks like a grotesque, decaying, dead body, and it's the trippiest thing. There are multiple forms of Wendigo. There are the original Wendigo, which the natives had issues with,
Yeah.
and there are human Wendigos, which are cannibals, which some traditions, humans overpowered by greed, would turn into Wendigos. The myth thus served as a method of encouraging cooperation and moderation. Humans could also turn into Wendigos by being in contact with them for too long.
Oh God. But how
So
would you
if
talk to a
you
Wendigo is my question. Wait a minute. You know
Well,
how
that's
when Until Dawn, spoilers, his sister kept Josh down there and kept him alive and didn't kill him.
yep.
What if she was turning him into a Wendigo?
That could have very much so been the
Bro,
concept. Yes.
just piecing that together now after all these years. I am an idiot.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, very much so. Could have totally pieced together the Wendigo in Until Dawn.
Oh Lord, yes, but the reason I don't get how she could have survived falling down off that cliff, though. That's what I don't get. Like, that takes place up in the western part, about where Mike and Chris live. Up there, it takes place over in the mountain range. Now, that's where they're most rampant, but up in the Great Lakes here, or so-called, the Big Lake, I can't remember what it's called. You can ream me up for that later stream, or podcast, whatever. But they live up near the northern part of that, and I guess they run rampant as hell up there. Now, it's just speculation at this point, but if that's true, then I'd avoid that area altogether.
Well, I mean, not too many, but there have been sightings reported, especially out here in Phoenix, Arizona. Not necessarily in Phoenix itself. Most of the ones that were reported in Phoenix were long before the city was as big as it is today. But like a lot of people have reported, especially mostly in the past, Wendigo sightings around Lake Pleasant, Lake Roosevelt, and there's one other lake. I'm trying to remember its name. I don't remember it right now off the top of my head. But like Lake Pleasant itself actually has a massive group of wild donkeys and other animals that do nothing but circle the lake, and nobody can actually explain why the donkeys. They used to have a trail where they would leave the lake and travel between more than one lake. As the city got bigger and things got pushed out, the donkeys do not leave the lake, and anytime somebody tries to remove a donkey or to walk them or to herd them and guide them away from the lake, they panic. They freak out and have to get back to the lake.
Now my question is that what if one of them is actually a Wendigo in disguise and just using it as a temporary home?
Well, I was thinking the donkeys probably, because again, they're wild and they're out there, they probably know more than we do, such as donkeys have run into the Wendigos. I'm sure Wendigos were feasting on the donkeys just as a form of substance.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't too many people going missing at the time, but there has been reports of people going missing who just go out, walk out to go take a leak. They hear a scream and nobody returns.
Jeez, man.
That could have been very much so a Wendigo either capturing or, well, feasting upon somebody.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. Like, out there in Arizona, that story I told you about that kid who was in that tent when that Wendigo attacked them, that was, I don't know, man. It sounded like...
That's the thing. That would be luck, because most people that have come into contact with a Wendigo don't live to tell the tale, which is making me think it had to have been close to the time where the Wendigo has to get back into its own home to keep itself protected for the next following hours. He fucked with them for what, at least a good 2.5, maybe 3 hours. It messed with those kids, and right whenever they finally made true full eye contact with it, the thing let out its screech and left him alone. He took off, like you were saying. And most people don't get that. That Wendigo would have come right through that tent on a normal basis.
Yeah, but the thing is that these guys, they were native too, right? So maybe they had like a spell charm thing or whatever. Like, I know people say dream catchers are to protect bad dreams. What if they're not letting on that they can hold off the demons too? You know?
Well, no, not necessarily that, but kind of the same concept. So yes, dream catchers do ward off bad dreams. They're supposed to, when a dream goes through, they catch the bad dream in the spider web. They did the same thing with amulets and bracelets and things like that. Talismans, they turned them into spiritual items of protection. So when you make a holy item as such, the Wendigo being a malevolent being, evil by all means,
Yeah.
malicious in every form of way, it would ward off or try to at least protect the user from said creature. They could have had a talisman or something that a shaman made back in the day from an old tribe that could have kept them protected, or they could have been close to a holy ground, camping on a holy ground or Indian burial ground.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, if they were camping on that, wouldn't that make their spirits more angry that the Wendigo was there and could have maybe hurt the kids?
Well, if I see what you're saying, but at the same time, it kind of depends. So, if they're a part of the tribe, they could technically, yes, those kids could be in some deep trouble for even camping on a burial ground of the sorts, because burial grounds weren't necessarily holy grounds. They were said to, they were just spiritual grounds. It's basically almost like a Ouija board, but in massive landmass. It's
Yeah.
50-50. You can get a good spirit, you can get a bad spirit. They could have been protected by a good spirit that night that kept the Wendigo from coming through the tent and things like that. As far as actual spirits on the ground itself, the spirits themselves would be the ones messing with the people, not the actual Wendigo.
Yeah.
The Wendigo, on the other hand, they should know where those grounds are, because it's the presence. They don't like those grounds. They can't be around them. It's basically the same concept of why Dracula is not allowed on church grounds, because supposedly he would burst into flames and it burns him because the Almighty is punishing him.
Yeah.
When Wendigo walking into certain spiritual areas could very much so be weakened and affected by the grounds in which he walks, meaning those kids, again, that a Wendigo could very much so easily walk through a fucking tent. He could have very much clawed his way in and out those kids. So something had to have kept him calm, and that's why you're saying on talismans and things like that are very good points. But as far as a Wendigo actually coming onto those grounds is very rare. Very rare. They had to have done something, and it could have been the fact that he made eye contact when he went out to go to the restroom. He saw the creature, so the creature came at him. Then they made eye contact.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking though, right there.
All you're doing at that point is pissing it off. But the fact is, it never did anything to them. So it had to have been something on the grounds or a talisman of the sort.
Yeah. Shit. Okay. So that was the Wendigo. Would you like to talk about the Skinwalker, or you want to continue with the Wendigo?
We can move into the Skinwalker, although many things on the Skinwalker are very similar to the Wendigo. There's like actually not too much of a difference between the two, if that makes sense. Ooh, shit.
A little bit.
I mean, their appearance is the biggest difference, because a true Skinwalker, again, is it follows and stalks its prey, and as time goes, it eventually possesses its victim. When it possesses its victim, he attaches itself to the soul, consuming from the inside out until he himself controls your skin, and he uses that to his advantage. He'll sit there and he'll feast upon what he can while he can, while looking for the next prey. When he finds his next host, better word, when he finds his next host, he'll then use your body, your voice, all of that to kind of lure them in. So if it's somebody you don't know, it's most likely going to play victim, help, help, I'm stranded kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
When you arrive to the situation, you're going to come across a field where you either find nothing, next thing you
Or
know, you're being stalked, or one, you'll find something there. And when it turns around, chances are you aren't going to live to tell the tale.
but now the thing I seen from Mr. Nightmare was he was reading about one, and B Busta, sorry, he's an Australian narrator. He's doing what we normally do, but he reads them off Reddit. I guess there was a native tribe, again, going back to the natives, because for some reason it likes to target them. I don't know why that is, but I guess his father got attacked by a skinwalker. He didn't show up for 3 days, and then all of a sudden he was just there, acting just like he normally was, but just seemed a bit off. And I guess the end of the story is that I guess he just ended up going away and just missing, and they never could find him again.
Alright, here, give me 1 second. I gotta do one thing. I'm gonna pop the shirt off, but I've got exactly the information that I was just saying on him.
Yeah.
I've got all the information right here on the skinwalker.
We'll take this as an intermission to listen to I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys.
Oh my god.
Tell me why, heartbreak, tell me why. God, gotta keep the mood light. Oh god.
That is great. Okay, so originally the skinwalker. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at that.
Oh
so
god,
you were
help me.
actually singing it.
had to cheer the stream up. They could have been all sad from it.
Dude, hell, it'd be hard to sleep at night. I mean, to be honest with you, most of these things date back so far, long before technology existed. That's why I really say screw computers, screw the video games, screw the movies and things like that, because they're the ones that they take those folklores and they twist them in their own way and kind of mess them up, and people no longer believe in these things' existence.
Yeah, and it's the fact that they use them and they overdo them to the point where they think they're not scary anymore. And then people get stupid and they go out and look, and then they're dead.
Yeah, or somebody, they get a little cocky and they think it's either another person or something like that, so they're gonna get ready to fight. Next thing you know is you're fighting something that
can't be beat up. Yeah.
Exactly. So the skinwalker originally comes from the Navajo culture.
Yeah.
It is a type of harmful witch or a medicine man, shamans.
Like a voodoo priest, yeah.
Yep, that has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal in terms not used for healers. So, in other words, instead of possessing an animal to learn the benefits of something to heal the people of your tribe, they would possess animals and other things and feast upon the people of their tribe.
Jeez.
Now, in the Navajo language, it's called a Yi Naldushi.
A Yi.
Naldushi. Yeah, Yi. Y-E-E.
Not yeet. Get that right, stream. No. Not yeet.
No, not
Yi.
Not Yi. Y-E-E. Yi. Like you're saying Yi. Yi Naldushi. That is the native Navajo language for translation, which means all fours. It goes on all fours. It runs on all four limbs. These creatures stalk their prey in several different ways. Most would possess the person, because they're going to then use you to as an advantage to lure others or lure your own family and friends into the trap.
Oh
Now,
God.
there's been cases where most of the time the people haven't been possessed at all. They just go out and this four-limbed creature just devours them. Like, by the time you get there, there's nothing left of recognition of who or what the hell happened. Navajo, on the other hand, are very, very careful, because most of these people were said to have come from the Navajo themselves. So Navajos have a hard time actually talking to outsiders about the Skinwalker and all the things about it. Most of the people that have come forward and told stories of the Skinwalker are like, let's say you go into a tribe and there's only one dude who his entire family died on a hunt one
Yeah.
night, and he's the only one that survived. He's in such shock and other things, he has to tell whoever he can, don't go there, this is what happened and here's this case. That is when we first started hearing about the Skinwalker. Now since then, and like I was saying before and earlier, there's that one video you were telling me about the dude that talks about how he's standing at the gate behind a
Oh
state
yes.
national park,
Hang
and
on
he
a
hears
sec.
the scream.
For those people who are wondering, it's a Skinwalker scream, and he's like, "Oh, did you hear that?" So if you want to go watch that video, I will put something down in the comments about it, what it is called. Anyway, you can continue, Renegade. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
All
So
right.
there's that video you were talking about. Now that technically would be the fourth video, because there is one other man who, like I was telling or talking about earlier, Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. One
Yeah.
man keeps, and he's got to have balls. He does. He keeps going on and sneaking out into this ranch, and 3 times has he caught the Skinwalker on Skinwalker's scream on tape. One of the occurrences, broad daylight, bright and early in the morning.
How though? How? They don't come out in the daytime though.
Well, that's the thing. Skinwalker Ranch happens to be around a bunch of caves and internal underground systems.
Oh God.
You very much so could be standing next to a cave or anything like that, and just like an actual animal would, if they're still barely awake and you're approaching their cave, they're gonna let out a screech or a howl or something to, kind of ward you off.
Yeah.
Like, this is my home, stay away. There is a case where he's walking through the woods, and I believe he's talking about some of the underground rivers and other things that run through these cave systems. And there's a pothole, or not pothole, but a sinkhole, I should say, not too far from him. And it's about, I want to say, in that little tiny area where he hears the scream is around the sinkhole. So they very much so could have been hiding underground or communicating between one another, and he catches the scream a third time on
The legs or
tape.
something. Oh yeah. Like, grabs them by the legs. I thought you were going for that.
No, yeah, no, he never actually recorded actually being grabbed or seeing one. He just hears them. Every time he's out there, he hears them. And the best way to put it, it's that high-pitched scream. It doesn't sound like a woman. It sounds almost like an animal being murdered or
Like a mountain
strangled.
lion dying, right?
Pretty much.
Have you ever
Exactly.
heard one of those things scream, man? Oh my lord, it will terrify the living crap out of you. I've looked it up on YouTube. It sounds like, say it's like a woman in her 20s, right, having a bad day. and, and then it gets even worse by she gets murdered, and I guess she lets out, it's like a high-pitched scream of something dying. It's just
It's
ear
very
piercing.
raspy.
Yeah.
Very ear piercing, very raspy. That gives you that wild sense. It lets you know that is something that's been out in the wild for so long. But it's a very, if you ever hear the noise in person, I will tell you now, you guys would probably stop exactly where you're standing and look in every single direction because it's going to make the hair on your body stand up.
Now us Canadians we're used to that because we live up, near all that stuff. But if like you're a city person and you run into that, don't try to find it. Just leave it the frick alone.
Now, see, originally I come from Tennessee, out in the middle of nowhere, trees everywhere. Since I've moved to Arizona and been stuck in the city limits, things are very hard for me to grasp, and I'm still learning how to function in the city. So
Yeah.
when I go out, I'm out in the wild or anything, and I'm out in the open and shit. Uh, where Arizona and a few other surrounding states are one of the biggest.
Wild
We
parts.
have some of the no, we have
No
some of the
wildfire.
biggest native lands. I'm trying to remember reservations.
Yeah.
We have some of the biggest reservations here in this state, and what the biggest part is it's the Navajo reservation. So the Wendigo and the Skinwalker very much so could be out in these parts because these are the parts where they were mostly reported from the native tribes, Wendigos, Skinwalkers, and many other forms of apparitions reported and talked about through the folklore. Now again, all of these folklores date back before anything could have really truly, most of these things, they're not made up. They were
No, because
stories.
they'd have to come from somewheres, right?
Yeah, but that was the thing. They're not like trying to scare kids into things. Most of the stories told actually do involve a frightened man explaining something that happened to his people or the person he was with. Um, None of them were actually like, let me tell you a bedtime story. No, it was a crazy man coming back from a long trip after being gone for days to weeks at a time, sometimes months at a time,
And that could
coming
also be
back to
from him
his
hiding
tribe.
from the thing too, right?
Correct. Yes. He could have very much, he could have been hiding, he could have been doing a few things. But when they return, they're in such a shocked mental state, and the only thing they can ever get out of the person is the stories of the Skinwalker or whatever the case may be.
But
Now again, for those who wish to know, Yi Naldushi was Navajo for the harmful witch or medicine man, and the ability to possess or disguise as an animal in terms of not being used as healers, but as, I guess you'd call them killers, malicious beings. Yi Naldushi, again, being translated to it goes on all fours. So
Jesus.
whatever it is has incredible speed, most likely an incredible strength, and the Navajo people, the only people, here you go, the only people who do not believe in its existence are those who were not from the Navajo tribe. They looked at the Navajo tribe like they were crazy, because every Navajo believes in them.
And see, those tribes probably ended up running into them and then believing them afterwards. But the thing was, is when they came over here and there was like nothing touched, right? Like the people like Christopher Columbus and stuff, right? Like when they were fighting with them over land, right? I guarantee a lot of them were probably told those stories of the skinwalkers because like when the natives first started traveling around, they probably ran into a bunch of weird crap like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Navajo and all those, they ran into them nonstop, especially Cherokees, anybody like that. Now, a
Yeah,
big part is you got to remember because Christopher Columbus and the Native Americans were friends in the beginning before the wars between, all of us
yeah.
forcing the natives out of their land. Well, we were friends. They weren't just stories, man. They were warnings.
And that's the scary part. That like they didn't listen, and I guarantee half of them did probably get killed by like a skinwalker or a Wendigo or
hmm
something.
Navajo in the beginning were very, very quick to try and talk to people about it. It's only in newer times and as time has gone on, because of the trust being between the native tribes and the white man being broken, it's very hard for them to really care about communicating it to us because let's be honest, most natives would like to see us probably dead
Gone.
for what we
Yeah.
did to their lands.
Well, I mean,
So
it's only right though, man. Like we probably would deserve it
we,
because of what we have
man,
done.
exactly. But that's what I'm saying is so nowadays, talking to them about it, you're not going to get much info on any bit of the case at all. But back in the day, when the stories were first being reported, was, think about it, we were friends at that time. The white man and the natives got along. We shared meals. Thanksgiving and all the other things were made. Those weren't just stories, they were warnings not to go into these certain locations, not to go over here, not to mess with that cave.
But they
I
didn't
mean,
listen, so.
there's been many cases actually. Old West, here you go. Mm,
Oh, this is gonna be good. I
The
can't wait to hear this.
the Old West, people, gangs when the gold rush and all that was going on. All these gangs and all the men that had their cattle guns, and here you go, Red Dead Redemption 2, ladies
Oh
and gentlemen.
no, no, we're not going there.
No, so I mean, but to a degree, think of it in that concept. All the Western type stuff. The West was dying.
Yeah,
Barbed wire killed the West. During that time, all the outlaws and everyone was being hunted down. There's been several cases where a sheriff has gone out to the location of where the gang should have been. The gang is nowhere to be found. It just looks like a horrible massacre scene, but does not look like a person did it. Looks like a crazy animal has taken out what could have been left of the gang.
yeah.
That being said, the Navajos and many other natives report or have claimed that Wendigos and Skinwalkers could have very much so been the case of why these places and people are missing.
Man, that stuff just creeps me out if you think about it. Like, I guess there's an Easter egg in that game where you can actually find one. Nah,
Really?
yeah, I haven't found it myself, but if that rumor is true that's going around, I'm actually gonna try to hunt it down. I'm gonna have to
I
do
was
some
like,
more
that
digging
makes
about it.
me, yeah, that makes me want to actually hop on Red Dead sometime, and I want to see if it's a Skinwalker or a Wendigo, but that would be awesome. But
Hunt
that's
it
what I'm
down
talking
as your
about
character.
is,
Your character would get ripped to shreds in a matter of seconds, though. You'd have to. It's in story mode. It would not be online. So
no, no, it
so
would
you'd
not
have to
be
do it by
online. It would
yourself.
have to be in story mode,
Yeah.
because the story mode is usually where all the hidden things are.
Poor Arthur Morgan
Where, I
or
mean,
John Marston, whoever you're playing as. Oh, spoiler
well,
alert.
yeah,
Sorry.
not only that, but what you call it? What was I saying?
Because I know in the old Red Dead there definitely is one because I have found it myself and it is freaking nasty.
Right.
It moves
Well,
ungodly,
Wendigo,
man.
and it's a Wendigo, right?
Yeah, like it's oh fuck. Like you know like how the girl in the ring walks like unnatural? Picture it that way but 10 times bigger. Just like super fast moving like how a fly like moves, man. It's just no. God.
Yeah, they're all crazy. People get freaked out all the time over cases like this, but at the same time, here you go, trail cams, deer cams, wild animal cams have actually reported also caught skinwalkers on camera. If you guys ever get a chance, Unexplained Mysteries on YouTube actually has a skinwalker caught on a trail cam, and the biggest part of it is nobody can explain what or why something like that would be running through the woods at such an hour at night.
Hunting hour, because there's less human activity in the woods, less airplane noises is my guess, and probably my guess, I think the sunlight might actually burn their skin. I think that it might be one of the things.
All the more reason why it would be a skinwalker and not a person.
Yeah, because I know a Wendigo, they can come out in the daytime, but that's rare. But a skinwalker, I think the reason that they have to switch so much is because the sunlight or any kind of light, like UV light or anything like that, it might burn their skin.
And in most cases, that is true because, again, these things are really pale, really white, like no, again, the best way to put it, albino. They have no pigmentation to their skin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't know if you know this, but an albino person is UV sensitive beyond belief. They have to keep their skin covered. Most of them have to put other stuff on their skin in order to go out in sunlight because either one, it does hurt, or two, they're very prone to being burned and catching a
very bad sun tan.
Yeah. Now, that being said, skinwalkers and wendigos all live in caves. The only difference is a wendigo looks like an undead being already. Everything about it looks undead. A skinwalker kind of already has, it just looks like a person with real tight skin on them. They look like a cave-dwelling person is the best way to explain it. They run
a cave shaman.
Fours.
That's what I was thinking.
There you go. That could be a new word. That being said, they're very, very pale, very white in their appearance as is. So them being UV sensitive is very much so why they would be a night hunter. There's been a report of a skinwalker caught on camera in 2017. Another thing you can find on the YouTube video, but this time not by just any trail cam or anything else. There's one caught by traffic.
A traffic camera.
A red light traffic cam.
No.
One running across the street.
Jesus, man, that's I don't know, man, because what if it's somebody dressed up in a costume, though? Could that be a thing?
If so, then I'm going to be 100% honest and say if it's somebody in a costume, they're doing pretty damn good, but it doesn't explain the many sightings and other things from long before or anything from nowadays either. Now, another big part is skinwalkers leave the best thing to explain it, it's almost like they have their own rituals. They make a circle on the ground in which they either feast in it or almost looks like they pray, you know, something. They leave those behind. Many people have actually reported, and here you go, the ranch, Skinwalker Ranch, has those circles all over the place. Many people reporting, that they've seen something in those circles at nighttime, but in the daytime, all that's left is either remains or something, or things that look like they would be worshiping. Another thing that makes things a little trippy is in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, a New Mexico news channel.
Yep, you're right. I remember seeing something about that.
Yep, actually said they had reported had reported strange sightings of what could possibly be a skinwalker.
Jesus. Problem with the skinwalker is that once it takes you over, you can't really notice any difference between the person. I
No,
think.
and that's the thing.
Is it true that they're always hungry though? Like that's the only thing that you'll be able to notice is that the person, if they get taken over, are always super hungry.
Very, very much so. They don't. They. The reason why is they can eat as much of our food as they want, but it's the spirit that needs the food. So he can eat our food to keep himself disguised, but he himself is never going to be fully enticed until he has his next host.
Yeah.
So, that being said, again, and the reason why a Wendigo can copy a person, you gotta think about it. When they attach to their host, they consume the soul from the inside out. So in other words, they're learning everything about you the whole time they have you possessed.
They kind of like read your brain in a way, which is kind of creepy. Now I think what's on everybody's mind though, the Goat Man is a recent thing I've read on Reddit. We're switching over to that if you want, or do you want to keep talking about this?
Oh no, we can keep going on. We can switch into something, or we can continue on the Skinwalker. I mean, before we go, I would like to say there is actually National Geographic footage of a Skinwalker in Navajo lands inside of a cave.
Oh fuck! What's that video called?
It's Navajo Skinwalker National Geographic footage.
Okay.
Paranormal Central on YouTube. It's only 50 seconds long, but they've got a skinwalker believed to be holed up in a cave.
Jesus, man, them guys must have been some freaked out.
No, it was military.
The military caught it.
I don't know. I don't know if they caught it. Again, it cuts it off before it gets into that. When it starts talking about that.
Yeah.
But they did have a man. They had a man on his rifle, looking down the sights of his rifle, spotted something inside of the rocks. And when they approached, they called it a howler, but it was a Navajo skinwalker.
Jeez. I don't think I could do that, man. If I ran into something like that, oh god.
One man saw it through his rifle, so he called in buddies, and 3 of them tried to approach.
They couldn't do it, could they? Were they too scared?
I'm actually watching it right now, I will tell you.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to the Goat Man while you're doing that, just to give people a quick brief what it is. So the Goat Man is a story, well, it's a kind of a long story. It's about this, apparently this old farmer put together a human and I keep digging up a human, to my understanding, I think. And he mixed it with a goat corpse, and I guess somehow he was able to bring it to life with like some supernatural voodoo crap, and I guess it became a goat person. It walks on its 2 hooves, has the upper torso of a human, but the head of a goat. And I guess there's a goat bridge where it hangs out. It killed the person that made it, if you're wondering whatever happened to him. And I guess it just wanders around the bayous of Illinois and all those other creepy places that you'd expect something like that to live. But the thing is, it has been sighted in, where was it? Recent sighting was last year around July. It hasn't been seen since, because I think, because of what is going on in the States right now with all the storms and the cold, I think it might be hibernating, resting up for what is to come. I'm not entirely sure.
Not only that, but here you go. Getting into Goat Man originally was sighted in Louisville, Kentucky, United States, as what was called the Pope Lick Monster. Then there was a sighting in Maryland and a sighting in Texas. Many people believe it was the one that you're talking about, but he's moving literally cross country and non-stop moving. Poke Lick monster, the urban legend goes, as hang on, let me find the right spot. According to some accounts, the creature uses either hypnosis or voice mimicry to lure trespassers onto the trestle.
Hmm.
Hold on, I lost my place. I
Okay, hang on. Well, I'm going to spot in here real quick. There's a game called Do You Copy? It's about the Goat Man. And it was played by 8-Bit Ryan, Spears HD the Amazing, Markiplier, I think gave it a try? Those three YouTubers, they played it, and it's about the Goat Man. So go give them a check out after you're done watching the podcast here. It's actually pretty amazing. Alright, Renegade, back to you.
Alright, so they lure them onto the trestle to meet their death before a oncoming train. Well, that's actually...
That might have been what I read about his bridge, because that apparently is in Grand Theft Auto 5. Apparently they added it as an Easter egg, and I guess if you're there at the right time, the Goat Man actually shows up. But the train has to be passing by at night. Now, stream, what you're seeing right now is I'm actually by the bridge right now. It's this so-called bridge right here. But anyway, because
Other stories claim the monster jumps down from the trestle onto the roofs of cars passing beneath it. Yet, other legends tell that the attacks its victims with a blood-stained axe, and that the very sight of the creature is so unsettling that those who see it while walking across the high trestle are driven to leap off.
now that, I can probably believe that, but wielding an axe though, Renegade, I don't think that would be possible unless that thing actually has a half of a human brain. Unless it is...
I was going to say, here you go. Other legends say it is half human, half goat hybrid.
I was correct.
He was a circus freak who vowed to revenge after being mistreated. In one version, it is said that the monster escaped after a train derailed on the trestle. Another version, commonly told by locals of the area, claims that the monster is a really twisted reincarnated form of a farmer who sacrificed goats in exchange for satanic powers. Very much so, exactly what you were saying. The legends have turned the area into a site for legend tripping. There have been a number of deaths and accidents on the trestle since its construction, despite the presence of an 8-foot fence to keep thrill seekers out.
And somehow this thing can jump over an 8-foot high fence, which means it must be pretty muscular as well. Upon everything else that's going on with it, man. Like, and in the game, Do You Copy? We'll go back to that for a second. In the game, you're a fire ranger. And what you do is basically, or forest ranger, sorry, and you're trying to help people who are lost in the woods. And when you do that, you run into the Goat Man, and he uses somebody's voice, like what you were saying, Renegade, to trick you. So basically, there's two people in there. One is the real voice, and one is the voice of that person. Now, I'm not going to tell you how it ends, because I want you to go check out the game yourself, or watch Markiplier, 8-Bit Ryan, or somebody like that. Go check it out. But it's a pretty interesting game, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, here you go. There is a common misconception that the trestle is abandoned and no longer used. In reality, the bridge carries a major rail artery into Louisville. Heavy freight trains cross the bridge several times daily, so it is easy for some to get caught atop it while an oncoming train barrels down on them. Norfolk Southern Railway urged citizens not to climb the trestles, saying if caught, they would be arrested. Now, that being said, I don't know if any of you have actually ever been on a railroad trestle or not. It is actually very easy to get stuck in one of them and not be able to get out of the way of a moving train, but doesn't explain the people at nighttime who are called and lured up there.
Wait, I have a question, Renegade. What is a railroad trestle for those who don't know? Because I have no fucking idea. Is it a bridge?
Yes, so it's pretty much a railroad bridge, and it is basically the trestle is what separates the two pieces of ground. The trestle was built on the in-between, so there's many gaps that you can get your
Okay.
foot stuck into in between railroad ties.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, the trestle, uh, it's a railroad bridge in between two pieces of land.
So it's just
Um,
necessarily just a really, really long bridge.
Correct. It is a really long bridge, and most people wouldn't climb up them if it's highly active anyways, due to the reason of if it's a highly active railroad track, you'd never want to get stuck on a railroad bridge when the train is coming. So common sense, in which we are kind of lacking a little bit
Yeah, I was just
nowadays.
about to say, most people don't have common sense.
Yeah, now that we're lacking a little bit of common sense, I mean, it's totally explainable for some people, but back in the day when everyone had common sense, it doesn't explain that.
Yeah.
Again, most of the reports are a voice mimicking somebody they know that lures them to the spot. Now, with the creature being part man, part goat, very much so could have the functionability to use an axe, although I highly doubt the axe, just like you do. I'm gonna go more with he's either one calling you to just have a train take you out, or he himself is the one throwing you from the edge of the trestle.
I can see throwing, but it's the fact that how would something like that be able to grab you? I don't really see how he would have the motor skills,
He
but
has,
if he can
yeah,
run,
it
he probably
has,
would have
well,
motor
that's,
skills for his hands
well, I
then.
was gonna say, the thing is, it has the lower end of a goat and the head of a goat, but the middle torso and arms are of a human.
Yeah. So,
So, I mean, it very much so has it has the mechanical skills to do so, but does it have the knowledge?
yeah,
No.
that's what the thing is. That's what you gotta think about. That if it is real, how in the world is it using its that knowledge of its crap to do stuff like that, right? Like I know that probably
Right.
didn't make any sense, but
Here you go. Despite the warnings on April 23rd, 2016, a 26-year-old tourist from Ohio died after being hit by a train while searching for the monster. Her boyfriend survived by hanging onto the side of the trestle. Um,
what was his story
Again,
though?
the trestle being a bridge. Nobody knows. He actually, it says here, he went missing shortly after he was pulled in and questioned. His statements were never released, and he shortly went missing after,
Now that's a conspiracy theory that I'd like to discuss another time.
which is very much so totally something to discuss because it was already said they would be imprisoned or arrested for trespassing
Yeah, but what
in that
if
area.
they say he was missing,
But
but they actually put him somewheres where he wouldn't be able to talk to nobody ever again, right?
well, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So usually somebody would be arrested or put into jail after this. You know, his girlfriend died, he got caught, he got questioned, he should have been locked up and a statement released.
Yeah.
Statements were hidden. He was released, but then went missing. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, the police let the man walk free,
And
only
then
for a couple days later to have gone missing.
FBI open up in that situation.
Area 51, however the case may be.
I feel like that's probably might actually be it, man. You watch, I end up going missing because we're like onto the truth.
Well, that's another thing is there's been several cases, many men and people have actually tried to just drive down the path to Area 51, in which many of them are confronted by armed military service threatening them with their lives to leave.
Well, they have to though, because it's gun
We,
testing and whatever the hell else is down there. I feel like they got like a nuclear couple fucking dozen silos down there.
right, but that's one thing. Yeah, like the military shouldn't be threatening you with your life to leave a military weapon testing
No, they
area. They should
shouldn't.
be telling you your life is at danger. You need to get out of here because we test weapons here, and if you're not careful, you could get blown up or etc. etc. Instead,
Homing missile.
they flat instead they flat out look at you and say, "You're going to get off of this property, or we're going to take care of you."
Because here's the thing though. There's this YouTuber called Josh Explores. He went up to the gate, right? And these military men, they had these camo suits on that blent them in with the ground that they were invisible till they got right close to him. Like even his camera didn't pick it up. Which, in my opinion, that's kind of wicked.
Well, and again, in Area 51, here you go, ladies and gentlemen, most of our technological advancements, such as TVs, cars, and all of those things, really, really took off and evolved into much better equipment in the technology we have today, especially after the Roswell incident, or the little incidents like that when we picked up things like that. Area 51, our technology blew up. We were then able to communicate. We then had satellites. We still have satellites that can ping signals out into space, things like that. All of these things revolving around Area 51 in places like that. So that being said, skinwalkers, wendigos, maybe later on in the future, we'll even get into the alien technological and other things such
that's
as
the last thing we
carrying.
need to.
That's the last thing.
More alien talk. Yes, there are aliens out there somewhere. We just haven't found them, unless we have, and we kidnap them and do experiments.
There are many different forms and many different cases now. People call them conspiracy theories, but here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Most conspiracy theorists either go missing because some of the shit they say actually has a little bit of sense to it.
Yeah.
Or they're just the weird dude with tinfoil on his head who's living over here, in which those ones usually are the guys who were talking about Zorg or this and that. It's funny I say Zorg, ladies and gentlemen, because Zorg is actually a very old text-based computer game back in the day, which actually revolves around a lot of wendigos and satanic and alien type stuff that happens. Very complicated game. One of those games I actually, if you ever get a chance, you can go look it up, try to give it a shot, give it a test. Actually, and also if you don't know, those who really want to try Zorg out, if you have Call of Duty Black Ops, the first one, when it starts, and the menu, when you're in the chair being questioned, double tap R2 and L2.
As fast as you can, yeah.
Yeah, as fast as you can to get out of the seat. Turn around to that computer and type Zorg, and you will start Zorg video game on that computer, a text-based adventure game.
Bro, I have Call of Duty BO1. I can see if I can sync it to my PS3, my YouTube there, and try it, but I doubt it'll work. Never worked when I tried it before.
I say that is the one, right? Black Ops 1 is where...
yeah, that's the computer. That's where you can put cheat codes in, like Big Head Zombie, and it just makes their head...
Yeah, you can do Dead Ops Arcade and things like that. Okay, yes, that is the one. You can actually do Zorg on there. I played that game days in and days out. I mean, I left the PlayStation running to save my progress where I was. I had notebooks filled with paper to keep track of all the decisions I made, all the places I had explored, every direction I had moved, because that's another thing. You have to, it's not go left, go right. You have to play the game based off of a compass. Travel north, travel south, travel to the north side of the building, things like that. It's very, very old school, very, very fun, but as you go, you actually kind of learn and discover things, hidden secrets, and it revolves around the Wendigo, Skinwalker, alien type projects, random things that would scare the common person. There's actually, at one point in time, there's a door with satanic symbols on it that says do not enter. It's very hard, but once you actually enter the room, the whole game started to go crazy and wig out. But, it's all the more reason that something was there. Uh, Fun game. I'd say give that a shot. The closest way you can get to it is either I'm not sure if they have it on stream or not, but you can I'm sure you can look it up on the internet. Or again, like I was saying, get Black Ops, and you can try giving it a shot on the computer in the back. But the only problem is every time you turn the game off, it restarts. It does not save your progress.
Oh man. Oh, you got any like what was it? Stories about ever seeing any out there? Like you ever see any other ones than that one you said you thought you saw?
Okay, the closest thing I have. I used to live on a houseboat here at Lake Pleasant, at Pleasant Harbor here in Arizona. I lived on the houseboat for about a year total. I explored all of the land around the lake. There was one night, and I was on the top of a mountain. There is a little campground you can walk up to and hike up the side of a mountain, and you got a very open field area. I was walking around and minding my own business, and I heard some strange noises, and every time I turned around and looked around, I saw nothing. So my first assumption is I'm thinking either coyotes or something stalking me, something's watching me. I'm either prey or something's just keeping an eye on me.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little uncomfortable, so I'm starting to turn around and I'm heading back towards the lake where my houseboat is so I can get my ass home. Uh, Still, I'm hearing these noises and whatnot. There's a closed little park, and it's very hard to get access to. Very, very hard to get access to. But it's closed off to people, everyone. And anytime you try going over the fence or getting out there, most of the time, Lake Pleasant security comes out, stops you, and pulls you back. Now, they're not there very often at nighttime because everyone's got to go home. So I used to dip and hang out at nighttime up there. I saw something that had been closely reported to a Wendigo. The antlers and the head and all of that. Very muscular, very huge. Thank God I was close to human civilization and not far from my boat area at all, because I mean, literally, as soon as I locked eye and made eye contact with whatever that was, it came in my direction, and
Oh
it was
God.
fast. Very, very fast. How I'm here, luck I'll go with, but that has been one of the cases. Anything else has been more of a ghostly apparition, sightings, and things like that. I've like the cult following. I've visited haunted houses and things like that, and I've had cases where you're looking in this haunted house, all over the walls are satanic markings and just things that are written. Some of these things, now here, the best way to put it, it looks like it's written in blood, because when blood ages, it gets that brown look
Orangey
to it.
color, yeah.
It's that rusty looking color, but it always smells like iron. Always smells like iron. You go into this one room and the whole floor is missing, and you go straight down into a basement, like almost a wine cellar, abandoned, and when you shine your flashlight, there's a gigantic pentagram. It looks like people had been there doing stuff. I was actually there with a group of friends. Now, none of these kids were paying attention to too much because they're either terrified or some of them are just, a little dumb and cocky because they like the ladies, is the best way to put it. The only thing I remember is I looked down this hole as I'm talking about having an uncomfortable feeling, one of the guys looked over at me and said, "Oh, please come on, what could actually happen in this house?" As a black hooded figure darted across the room, the stairs that would come up to our level. I told everyone to get out. We all ran. First thing I did was pick up rebar to, I don't know what I was thinking. Most likely wasn't thinking at all. I
Just
just
in a
grabbed the
state of
rebar.
panic, really.
I just grabbed the rebar and kept everyone behind me running towards the door. I was following them, but I kept my eyes behind me because whatever was coming our way, I was ready to stand my ground. I was truly horrified by what I had seen, and I have yet to go back to that house yet to this day, only because I'm not sure what it is, but there was something there for a fact. Now, this place is abandoned, or at least we thought, because when we got to our vehicle, and now, that house should have had nobody there or anything. It was truly mortifying.
Man, I think that would like cut my experience of going outside at all. You know.
That's my thing, man. I can't lose my sense of adventure, and I'm very, very big into the whole mythology and things like that. It's something about it just continues to
Yeah.
drive my curiosity.
Man,
As
if I ever
much as
come down there, me and you, we're going to the bayous down there in where is it? We're going to the bayou,
you gotta be a little
Illinois.
more specific.
Bayous in
Oh,
Illinois. Yeah.
Ooh, that actually sounds very interesting and very fun.
Hopefully we
Hell,
don't get
dude,
eaten by no freaking crocodiles. Comes back, a finger missing iPad, try to pet a crocodile.
what
There's
is it from Happy Gilmore? When dude, he's got the wooden hand because he had to fight the alligator for the golf ball.
Oh my god, man, yes. What was that thing there? I'm trying to think. There was a legend I read about the bayous in Illinois that they used to be full of witches, and the reason it was full of witches because they all fled down there to avoid prosecution and burnings. Now, when they did that, they didn't realize the woods were already haunted from. Believe it or not, there's Wendigos down there too, except these ones are usually covered in moss and extremely hard to freaking see. But they're just mental and in general, just crazy crap that happens down there around this type of night. Cults, satanic rituals, sacrifices from cats. You know, the whole gist.
Right.
And there was another thing I read. What was it?
I apologize about the background noise, dude. I'm not even lying when I say this.
What?
My phone turned on and started doing shit just now, and that's what that noise was.
Don't do that. No.
No, dude, but I'm actually being pretty legit right now. My phone was sitting right next to me. It's not even, I can't accidentally put my hand on it or anything. I mean, I have to actually purposely mess with it to get it to activate. And this phone just literally, that noise earlier, it started playing a video. I immediately just started backing out of it because I'm not dealing with it right now. Fuck no.
It's like, I know you. The ghost in your house is like, I know you talking about me, Richard.
Hey man, now I'm all like looking at the closet, you know, it's things like that. But you know, again, I used to sneak out of my house at nighttime, and I used to just hang out in cemeteries and things like that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't entirely scare me too much to a degree. Now, the best way for me to put it, there are times I do get terrified, but something continues to drive me. I want the curiosity. I just continue to push, which isn't really a good thing, ladies and gentlemen, due to the reason of it's usually how some of the people in these stories and folklores have gone missing.
But it's your sense of adventure, though. That's why.
Yes, but
And that's
I love
sometimes
it.
a good thing.
I would encourage you to always have a sense of adventure. Just be careful. And so when you see something and it's nighttime, best thing to do is to freeze and diagnose the situation before you act.
There was a story I was told about this smiling guy who came at this guy at night, and I guess, okay, so how it started is he was walking on the road. He always went for walks at night because he liked getting out of his house with his roommates. And anyway, he went to this other side of town for once, and this is where things start to get creepy. He walks past an alleyway, and then he turns around because he gets the sense somebody's watching him. And I guess when he looks back, it's a guy that has cheek to cheek, smiling, the biggest smile you can imagine. Picture it's like Jigglypuff smiling, like you know how he's made of jello and just can like absorb anything, right? Picture it like a Jigglypuff smile, but like super sinister. Now this guy, he started running towards Buddy, and he just bolted out of there. The guy who was not the smiling guy, but the guy that the smiling guy was following. And I guess he followed him back to his house. And he had one of those big ass kitchen steak knives, and I guess he tried to break into his house, and the cops were never able to catch him. But it's the fact that even one night of the week when he was just randomly walking, that guy was still able to get him, which in my opinion was creepy as hell when I heard it.
Oh yeah, dude. And cases like that are always going to be trippy as hell, but one of the biggest things is people don't really like to believe it, but ghostly apparitions are capable of very much so hunting and following and stalking you down like everything else. That being said, I knew a person who played with a Ouija board one time.
Oh God.
They summoned a little boy. That little boy apparently had died in a very violent accident and had followed around one of the girls for the longest time. He had connected to one of the girls and had been hunting her. That being said, the Ouija board belonged to somebody else. So now the spirit and the Ouija board are now separated. The spirit went and followed that woman home. The other person tried to destroy their Ouija board, but every time they did, there was always one right back with them, returned as a gift from the little boy.
Oh nah, that's a nah in my opinion.
There's many things in this world that people are
that you don't understand.
Yeah, they try to turn a blind eye to it because they don't understand it, they don't know it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what is there to fear other than fear itself? What is the one, why do we fear things? We fear things because we don't know what they are.
Because of Darth Vader. No.
Because Darth Vader would be pretty scary, right? No. Think of his force choke. Only you don't actually get to see Darth Vader. You're just being choked out.
Have you ever seen that cartoon thing? It was a animation brawl. It was them just messing around, and then it was like Alien versus Darth Vader, and I guess she implanted the egg on his face or something, and then the little Darth Vader alien came out of his chest.
Oh my god.
It had like 4 lightsabers that came out of his hands and his feet or something like that. I can't remember, but it was so stupid. It was funny.
The birth of General Grievous?
No, wait, that's a thing.
You know General Grievous?
That's that robot with 4 arms, isn't it?
He's not really a robot. He has armor and other stuff on him. He was at one point in time kind of a alienoid, but he's got respiratory and other issues from being Sith Lord. And so that's why he looks robotic, is because most of his limbs are artificial and redone.
Okay.
But yeah, General Grievous is the 4-armed Sith Lord.
I never really got into knowing that much about him. I never really liked him. I like Darth Maul.
No, Darth Maul. Oh, I love Darth Maul. Darth Maul was, he was pretty much the Vader before Darth Vader was.
Oh,
Darth Maul was
you right?
because think about it, Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Who's the man that kills Darth Maul? Oh, that's
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Obi-Wan killed him.
Oh,
And then Obi-Wan tried
but
to kill Darth
that
Vader.
being said, yeah, Anakin. Well, Anakin is a kid. See, not really kid, but he's still real young during the time of Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Um, the only if you actually pay attention, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a battle between brothers.
Basically, yeah.
Because those guys, Obi-Wan trained and basically raised and acted as an older brother to Anakin. And so when they actually have to fight, it's like a brother battle. That being said, I think we've gotten off topic from the creepy stuff.
I think we have, but I'm gonna put a little side note in there. Darth Maul actually survived being cut in half.
Yes, he did.
They said he did, and if you don't believe me, he went to the trash planet, and when he went there, he found, I think, was it a worm or something that helped him in exchange for his protection, and he gave him this spider body or some shit.
Yep.
And then I guess it was during the Clone Wars when he came back, they just decided to leave it out because it was way too dark to ever put that in the movie. Because Darth Maul went on a rampage and killed half the galaxy in order to try to get to Obi-Wan. And then it was, what was it, the Emperor that ended up killing him himself.
The Emperor had to put Darth Maul down, yes.
It's kind of sad. Alright, back to the...
Originally, yeah, Darth Maul. We are getting off topic. Well, actually, hell, that being said, it's probably about time. I'm going to be probably hopping off for the evening. I'm about to pass out. I threw my back out, and I'm...
Yeah. Alright, stream.
Take some medication. Yeah, I'm going to take some medication so myself.
Alright, stream. If you enjoyed that and you wanted us to discuss more about this stuff and go into more depth, please like, comment, subscribe. You know, the whole shebang. Alright, I hope you all have a good day, night, whenever you watch this. And I hope you enjoyed. Yep. Alrighty, guys. As Didy Nogli says, I hope you enjoy.